The irony is that people usually forget the obvious: migrating content or changing content too much, migrating titles, meta descriptions, not implementing redirects.
This is Time for Marketing, the marketing podcast that will tell you everything you've missed when you didn't attend the marketing conference. Hello and welcome to the Time for Marketing podcast number 21. My name is still Peter and we are still the podcast that brings you information, all of the marketing presentations from marketing conferences that you missed when you didn't attend them. In the episode number 21, we are going to look at SEO and what are all of the problems that you can come up with SEO campaigns and SEO disasters. I'm very glad that we have an excellent guest. Today with me here or on the line is Steven van Vessum. Steven, hey.
Hey, Peter. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, doing really good. Thanks for having me.
Very glad that you are here. Steven, you're the co-founder of Content King. Can you tell us briefly what the Content King is and what is your role there?
Yeah, sure. So Content King is a real-time SEO auditing and content change tracking platform, meaning that we're monitoring sites around the clock for any changes and SEO issues coming up. And in case of big, high-impact changes or issues, we send proactive alerts through email or Slack. So you know, if there's bad stuff happening. So that's basically what Content King does. Within Content King, I'm responsible for all of the content marketing and community management, meaning that I do a lot of writing, public speaking, conference attending, and so on.
You've been an SEO yourself for quite a number of years. What is your favorite part of SEO?
That's a good question. I guess in SEO, you're usually the bridge between the technical world and the business world, and those two worlds have trouble communicating with one another, and that's actually one of the main things that goes wrong when there are SEO disasters. So I think bridging those two worlds is the most interesting and challenging part for me.
So I invited you to come to the podcast with your presentation that you had at the Digital Olympus conference. How was the conference? How did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was really good. So at the beginning of April, we gathered in Wrocław in Poland. It was a really nice conference. It was small. I think it was like 100 and 150 people, but it was it was personal. You know, the gathering was small enough for it to be very intense. You know, there were good conversations. Easy access to speakers and so on. So it was really good. I like it.
It seems that there are more and more conferences popping up on the, I'll use the word Eastern Europe front. You have one of your offices in the Czech Republic, so you're probably more connected to that part of the world. Is that meaning that they are, I don't want to say that the Eastern Europe is waking up into internet marketing, because that will be really condescending. I'm a part of the Eastern Europe countries, so, you know, but I see a lot of conferences coming up also in Hungary. There is a trend there, right?
Yes, definitely. And there's more and more conferences popping up in Central or Eastern Europe. And I think that's good. For instance, 2 weeks ago, there was a conference in Prague called SEO Restart, where Vincent, my business partner, spoke. And in September, there is the Web Expo conference again. It's been running for several years already. It's quite established. There's a marketing fest in the Czech Republic as well, but it's expanding. I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, that's an awesome thing. So your presentation there was SEO disasters, why they happen, and how to prevent them. And without further ado, I'll let you sum up your presentation in 5 minutes.
All right, here we go. So what I did in the presentation, I covered 5 examples of situations in which SEO disasters went down. I looked at like what happened, what was the impact, and how could it have been prevented? And I saw a pattern. So if you look at all of the SEO disasters, there's usually a couple of things that go wrong. It's people not following SEO best practices, or actually people not being educated on SEO best practices. So it's very easy to blame someone, like a developer, for not doing his job properly, not creating a part of the website that's SEO friendly. But if he or she hasn't been told what to actually build and what to take into account from an SEO perspective, like how can you really blame someone? So it's a team effort. And if you're responsible for SEO, you're also responsible for education. And a lot of people tend to forget that. So SEO best practices, following them and educating on the best practices, it's a really important point. Next to that, proper test workflows. So you prepare a launch in the test environment. You need to make sure everything is fine. Then you run all your tests, both automated and manual. You push it to production, and there you need to test it again. Like, did I break anything? Is everything fine? Did I launch more functionality than I intended to, et cetera, et cetera? A lot of people don't realize this, but there's a lot going wrong. And that's actually one of the reasons Content King exists, because we provide a monitoring platform. You can use it both on your staging environment and your production environment. And we will actually show you what you changed when you did a launch. So that's a massive point as well. Another one is involving specialists too late into the process. So you probably noticed, Peter, there's like, there's a migration happening, and the website's nearly done, and someone brings up the point like, hey, should we involve an SEO specialist in the migration? And they start ringing people up. But the SEO migration started the moment it was being discussed internally. So you need to involve specialists early on, like when you're going to be making changes, when you're thinking about doing a migration, because in a lot of cases, the website is essential to the business. If you lose all your organic traffic, your company may go even belly up. So it's something to really take into account. Another one is if you're in doubt about something, discuss it with your specialists, your colleagues, or your peers. It's very useful to get a second opinion about things, or even just rubber ducking your thoughts. It's a tactic used in programming where you basically explain a piece of code to rubber duck, like, hey, this is how the code is supposed to work. And while you're explaining it, you realize that there may be certain flaws, or that you could improve it. So that's another one. And the last one is thinking critically. Don't believe everything you hear or read. So if, for instance, if you're researching a topic and you find a blog article from 5 years ago, there's a good chance the information there is outdated. So don't believe everything you hear and read. Question it. Ask for examples, case studies, etc., etc. I would say, Peter, those are the most important points summarized from the talk.
Excellent. Some of those things that you mentioned are really, really so important. I see it so many times when people launch a new website and then get very disappointed when the results are worse than they were with the previous website because someone forgot to add SEO expert. When do you think that an SEO expert should be involved when someone starts a process of building a new site? Should it? Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah, at the very start. So, for instance, if you're thinking about building a new site and you're basically looking for potential companies to build the site for you, that's already a part of the process that you should involve an SEO specialist in. Because some agencies may be very experienced in certain aspects, others will not be. So involve a specialist right from the start to decrease anything, like the chances of anything going wrong.
The problem that I think here is that it is very hard to know if your development agency has a lot of SEO experience or not. They all claim that,
Sure.
SEO is included in their website, but
Mm-hmm.
and there's no such thing as SEO being included. But it's very hard
Exactly.
to know.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you hire an SEO advisor or whatever we call that, and he doesn't have a lot of work to do, and they tend to be expensive. We tend to be expensive, but sometimes they are the ones that are going to solve they're going to save your website from being a really, really bad website.
Mm-hmm.
What
Exactly.
what are the things that people forget adding to their website? Do you have any insight? Are these really complicated things like schema.org, or are the basic things missing?
Yeah. So the irony is that people usually forget the obvious. They forget the obvious stuff. Migrating content or changing content too much, migrating titles, meta descriptions, not implementing redirects, stuff like that, or even just moving over the robots text file from the staging environment, which has a disallow slash for the whole site. So you're basically telling search engines, hey, you cannot access anything. The frustrating part about these SEO disasters is that it can often be prevented pretty easily. It's usually the basic stuff that goes wrong. Stuff like what I mentioned, and just not communicating within the team or with management.
Yeah, this is something that I've also seen. When you said in your summation that people have a hard time because they find old or outdated information, what is your go-to SEO education website?
I don't really have one. I have different places I go to for information. So, for instance, I do a lot of writing about SEO. So, for instance, I'm a contributor to Search Engine Journal, CMS Wire, Content Marketing Institute. I do most of the writing for the Content King Academy, is where we basically gather all of the SEO knowledge we have and share it with the world. And when I basically get to work on an article, I write down what I know. And I discuss it within the team, and I research it. And then I basically come up with a draft and discuss it some more within the team. And I ask industry peers to review it and look at it from a different aspect. So I know what works, what doesn't work. I also know what aspects of the article need to be fleshed out more, or what I need to research more. And that's the way I'll go about it. I'll never rely on one single source for the truth, quote unquote. I'll use multiple sources and always our own experiences as well. And when in doubt, I'll reach out to people within our circle, basically, that are close to us, industry experts. And that's a good way for us to come up with what works and what doesn't work.
All right. So if people want to prevent SEO disaster, at least what they should do is have an SEO expert on call if they have questions with their website from the beginning till the end. And then, of course, even more after the website is live. All right. I think we've covered everything and we've got a lot of great information. Stephen, where can people find you? Do you have any new conference plans that where can people see you?
Yeah. Next week, I'll be in Amsterdam speaking at the IGB Affiliate Conference. And later on this year, I'll be speaking at several meetups in the UK. So they're all listed on my site. The URL is stephen.land. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, just search for Stephen Van Vessum on Twitter. You'll easily find me. And our company website is contentkingapp.com. And at the top, you'll find the link to the Academy. And that's where we basically gather all the good stuff, all the SEO guides and articles for you to, basically check out. And if you have any questions, feel free to write me on Twitter, and I'd be happy to answer.
All right. And I will, of course, add all of those links to the show notes so that people have an easier time clicking onto them. Stephen, thank you very much for being on the podcast. It was great talking to you, and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Peter. Likewise. Take care, man.